Well, welcome everybody to the CCNG Knowledge Management Education Series. This is number 2 in a 3-part series. My name is Vicki Brackett. I am Head of CX and Chief Knowledge Officer for Knowledgely. And thank you to my host, Lon Hendrickson from CCNG, for having me today. Today, we're going to talk about knowledge chaos. We're going to move beyond awareness into operation reality. And this is about what poor knowledge is actually doing to your productivity, your KPIs, and most specifically your people, whether you're seeing it or not. Then I'm going to show you what knowledge management best practices look like, and we'll break down the components of a systematic knowledge approach. First, to recap, in session 1, we exposed the gap between what leaders believe and what teams actually experience on the floor. Most organizations are running on hidden workarounds carried by their very best people. And today we're going to examine what that actually will cost you. Many organizations believe that knowledge is organized because that documentation actually exists. But when knowledge is inconsistent, when it's duplicated, when it's scattered or outdated, the result is still chaos. It's just quieter chaos. And if people aren't loudly complaining, as a leader, you may not even be aware. And if your agents are figuring out how to maneuver to get the right answer for their customers, as a leader, you may not be aware of that at all. No one wants to be seen as a complainer in your organization, so most just will stay silent. This is not an occasional occurrence. This is daily operational drag. Every pause, every search, every double check of the knowledge across thousands of interactions causes this quiet chaos. So let's talk about this quiet chaos that materializes as friction in your operations. If they can't find the answer, they go to the supervisors. You might even be trying to be very efficient and put your supervisors on a round robin. So Bob, the supervisor, may take questions from 9 to 10, Mary, the supervisor, from 10 to 11, and it goes throughout the day. Think you're being cost effective, but in reality, those coaches, those supervisors need to be motivating and inspiring and helping your people be successful. It's a costly workaround. Then, of course, we have tier 1 that always seems to go to tier 2 if the agents can't find the answer. And you might even have tier 3 in your organization. Then we've got extended nesting. I can't tell you how many times trainers have come to me and said, Vic, can we extend nesting even a couple of hours? They're just not ready to get on the floor yet. That's because they're scared. They're having challenges understanding what they need to say and where they need to look up the information. And then, of course, we've got the proverbial SME teams. And they must have, team leaders or supervisors and a QA team, and of course, an ops manager. I have a client in Texas that has 950 agents and the most beautiful SharePoint site you've ever seen. They have 3 full-time FTEs on this. They've spent a lot of money, a lot of time to put it together and to maintain it. But when the agents cannot find the answer, they turn to the SME team. With the team leaders, their quality people, they have 3 quality people on this team, and the ops manager, to the tune of $4.2 million a year in labor costs. That's a costly workaround. And then all the retraining, pulling people off the phone, and other interactions with customers, and being able to get WFM involved so that you can get everybody retrained, which can't happen a day in most organizations. It could take weeks. And then we've got the proverbial chats, your Slack, your MS Teams, where they're asking other agents for help trying to find the answer. All of these cost money. And when knowledge is inconsistent, performance is unpredictable and it will continue to increase. So you just don't see slower average handle time. You see instability across every core operational metric. Now, most organizations underestimate the labor cost of poor knowledge because it's hidden inside of normal work. But when multiplied across teams, it becomes a significant productivity drain. And this is what's really happening underneath the scene. All these hidden workarounds that cost you money. And if you're outsourcing all or part of your operation to 1 or more BPOs, all that waiting time while the agent's looking is costing you money on your BPO invoices as well. So working together with your BPO on a systematic approach to knowledge management can save you millions of dollars a year, depending on the size of your organization, on your invoices. And your most capable people are quietly compensating for knowledge failures. And over time, creates burnout, inconsistency, and of course, risk to your organization. Knowledge issues, they rarely explode overnight. They erode performance slowly until leaders realize outcomes are no longer predictable. And at that point, the cost of no action is already high. On the left side is where many organizations operate. Knowledge exists, but it's scattered, and it relies on people to interpret it, to fix it, to connect the dots. The organization becomes dependent on individuals instead of a system designed to scale and sustain performance. So, as you move toward a more mature knowledge management model, you are going to evolve. And now your knowledge is managed knowledge, it's structured, it's connected, it's governed, and the system supports the work. Performance becomes more consistent and dependency on individuals drops. Therefore, risk is more controlled. Now, organizations don't scale through heroics, they scale through systems. And knowledge is one of the most powerful systems that you can control. Knowledge, chaos doesn't stay contained, it spreads. And when it spreads, it shows up on the numbers that we as leaders watch the most. Average handle time increases because people search. If they're not sure, they verify with somebody else. They compensate for trying to find the right answer. That makes average handle time increase. First contact resolution drops because answers aren't consistent and customers contact the company again. And QA scores fluctuate because there isn't consistent knowledge or agents can't find the knowledge. And then we've got new hire ramp up time stretches because new hires are learning from unstable knowledge. They can't find it. So there's more escalations because confidence in the knowledge declines. So it looks like separate KPI problems often shares the same root, which is unstable knowledge flow. So the point being is when knowledge isn't structured, governed, trusted, performance becomes unpredictable, the costs rise, and leadership loses control of operational consistency. So if you want to stabilize performance, you don't start with the KPIs. You start with the knowledge that drives them. Now let's do a deeper dive. Here are the components of a knowledge base. We've got document holders, and we've got a proprietary search bar. So whether you have a system or you've designed your own system with the IT department's help, a lot of times if you don't put the right words in the right order, I work for one of the largest technology companies in the world as a BPO and had to erect a SME team for over 3,000 agents. And that proprietary search bar, those SMEs just help the agents be able to put the right words in the right order to pull up the right knowledge. Huge waste of labor for BPOs and really cut into my profit margins. And now we have a knowledge management system, and here's some of the components. A true knowledge management system will actually pop the answer at conversational speed. You don't have to read pages. They'll integrate processes right on the screen. So along with talk tracks, there'll be decision trees inside the knowledge management system. So it will lead the agent right through the conversation with the knowledge on one side or the other of the screen for them. And there's employee feedback loops. So if there's a misspelling or you forgot a step in the process, there's a way for an agent to literally click a button, put the notes in, and it's automatically sent to someone on the back end, usually in your training and development department. And then these systems, a lot of them will actually notify the agent when they've gotten the knowledge request or update, and they'll actually contact the agent back or send them a message when it's been updated in the system. They'll have audit trails. This is extremely important when you need to have an audit trail for your legal department, especially in highly regulated industries or even in consumer products. If someone ingests something, things are moving very, very quickly as people are calling the contact center. And so you've got to have an audit trail when you go to court to protect your company. Reporting and analytics. This is just not about that piece of knowledge was pulled up 4,182 times. It's actual analytics that can help you manage. Where did Bob go first, second, and third? As he was he trying to find it? How many times did it take for him to find the right information? So the analytics and reporting are important. These systems also have announcements. So when something's changed, they'll alert the agent, but the knowledge has already been fixed. So when the agent goes, it's already been updated. And then there's governance. Governance is extremely important. Who's in charge? Which departments look at that piece of knowledge? Compliance, legal, marketing, product, agents, because they're the ones on the front line, QA. There could be various people looking at that piece of knowledge. And then when is that reviewed? And then, of course, we've got the authoring. And this is where a lot of the knowledge management systems are utilizing AI. Now, training changes. Your methodology will change when you use a knowledge management system. Your training will consist of an overview of a department and practice to find the answers or the process. They don't have to memorize anything. So you can literally have them practice over and over and over to find those answers and processes. And these systems use icons, colors, and positioning on the screens so that it trains the human brain to know where to look for that knowledge. And you can use scenario practice, which is great. You can pipe in live calls, whether you're remote or they're in the brick and mortar. And the training class of new trainees can literally follow along in their knowledge management system so they know exactly where to go and they practice over and over and over. And quizzes don't test memorization. The quizzes literally will just test if they can find the information. So what does this do for the agent? There's less stress because there's no memorization. There's reduced new hire training times. Most clients see a 50% reduction in new hire training class times because they're not memorizing. There's no reduced or no nesting period whatsoever. It's not needed because training has changed. It enhanced agents' confidence. There's faster speed to competency. And now the value to your organization, higher first call resolution, higher CSATs, reduction in AHT. They can handle more customer interactions per agent, reduce training costs, reduce training attrition because they're not afraid, reduced recruiting costs. And there's less need for a SME or support team and less demand for supervisor assistance. These training efficiencies will save you money when you change your methodology, when you have a true system. Now let's talk about the core elements of a knowledge management strategy, because you've got to have a strategy. The first one is the agents. And the agents will take email, chat, text, social media, phone, and video chats. This is the first element of your strategy. Second is customer self-service. You may have a chat bot or a company app. For example, U-Haul. You break down at the side of the road, you pull up your U-Haul app, and you can work right on that U-Haul app and talk about the challenge that you're having with the truck. Websites, those frequently asked questions, and the customer portal. If you are an insurance company, financial services, or have a portal where customers or patients can log in, this is all part of the knowledge management strategy with customer self-serve. And the third element is the integrations, your agent assist, your automated IVR, your CRM, other types of software, audit trails, analytics. These are the integrations. There are three core elements to a knowledge management strategy. And best practice, AI is also involved. So these are the core elements of a knowledge management strategy. Now, here are some successes. Here's a Fortune 500 medical device contact center. They reduced training times by 75%, complex calls from 12 to 18 months speed to competency to 6 weeks. And there was absolutely no need for a supervisor or support desk assistance. Here's another one. A technical support contact center reduced new hire training by 87%. No need for a supervisor or support desk assistance. A utility company reduced training times from 12 weeks to 3 weeks. Reduced attrition in training by 50%. There was no longer a need for nesting and no need for supervisor or support desk assistants. Here's more successes. A financial institution reduced HT from 10 minutes to 6 minutes. An e-commerce company with 350 users, 20-second reduction in HT saved over $750,000 in agent hours annually. Another financial institution reduced HT by 40% and increased positive team feedback by 92%. Ladies and gentlemen, these are not the exceptions. This is what happens consistently when companies utilize a true system with true methodology, and it becomes the fabric of part of their culture. And session 3, in 2 weeks, we're going to talk about from theory to practice and what effective knowledge management actually looks like. I've invited a couple of providers to come in. Knowledgely is technology agnostic, but we've invited a couple of different vendors in to give you just a quick overview of showing you what these components look like. Once you see it, the wheels will start turning and you will be able to really start looking at your operations in totally a different way. Thank you so much for coming. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. We also have knowledge tips on LinkedIn company page for Knowledgely. Thank you.